A new development tonight in the case of a kidnapped girl missing for 4 years.
It was a bright September afternoon in Bridgeton, New Jersey. 5-year-old Dulce Maria Alavez ran to the playground with her little brother, laughing, playing, completely unaware that in just minutes she would vanish. No struggle. No witnesses. No clear explanation. Her disappearance on September 16, 2019, shook the community and remains unsolved to this day. Backhand index pointing right before we dive in, tell me where you're watching from. And if you love real crime stories that dig deep into mysterious disappearances, hit subscribe, like, and share, because what happens next will leave you questioning everything. It was a warm, sunny afternoon in Bridgeton, New Jersey, on September 16, 2019. 5-year-old Dulce Maria Alavez bounced with excitement as she ran across the grass toward the playground. Her younger brother trailed behind, stumbling occasionally, while their mother, Noma Alavez Perez, sat in the parked car nearby, keeping a watchful eye. The park was familiar. The swings, slides, and monkey bars were all part of Dulce's everyday world. To her family and neighbors, it was a safe space, the kind of place where children could run freely while parents stayed nearby. But in a matter of 20 minutes, that sense of safety would shatter. Noma looked up after helping her older child with a jacket and realized Dulce wasn't at the playground. Her stomach twisted. Her heart raced. She called out, but the laughter of other children and the chatter of adults masked her daughter's voice. Her calls went unanswered. Panic set in. Dulce's younger brother ran back to the car, tears streaming down his face. "She's gone. She's gone," he screamed. Noma jumped out, scanning the playground, the surrounding parking lot, and the nearby woods. There was no sign of Dulce. By 4:30 p.m., police had arrived. Officers began an immediate search, calling in K-9 units, scanning every corner of the park and checking nearby streets. Volunteers from the community joined, shining flashlights into dense shrubbery and open fields. Each passing minute made the situation feel heavier, more urgent. Witnesses later came forward with fragments of information. Some claimed to have seen a Hispanic male near the playground, acting strangely around children. Others reported seeing a suspicious car parked along the perimeter. A composite sketch was released, but no one was ever positively identified. The Amber Alert was delayed, hours critical to the search when a child could be moved out of state. As night fell, the sense of dread in the community grew. Every unanswered phone call, every false lead, every unexplained sighting added to the mounting tension. Noma and her family clung to hope, but the reality was grim. Dulce had vanished, and despite the swift response, the hours that followed would reveal how little the authorities had to go on. The park, once a place of laughter and safety, now felt like a haunting reminder of how fragile a child's world can be. Every swing swayed in the wind, every empty slide echoed with absence. And in that silence, one chilling truth remained. Someone had taken Dulce and no one yet knew who, or why. The moment Dulce was reported missing, the Bridgeton Police Department sprang into action. Patrol cars lined the streets, officers fanned out across the park, and K-9 units were called in to track any trace of her. But the clock was ticking, and the search was immediately hampered by the fact that Dulce had vanished in just 20 minutes. A window so short, it seemed almost impossible to track. Neighbors and passers-by were interviewed. Some claimed to have seen a man lingering near the playground, his actions vague but unsettling. Others remembered a suspicious vehicle parked near the park entrance. Every tip was followed, every lead examined, but the pieces didn't fit neatly. By the evening, Amber Alert protocols were initiated, but not quickly enough. Hours had passed since her disappearance, enough time for a child to be moved across state lines. The delay frustrated the community and intensified the urgency. Volunteers poured into the park, shining flashlights into the shadows, calling Dulce's name, hoping for even the faintest sign of her. Noma Alavez Perez refused to leave. Every sound made her heart jump. Every child she saw reminded her of Dulce. She clung to hope but felt the fear creeping in, the fear that her little girl might never come home. Over the next few days, tips flooded in from across the country. Some were promising, others misleading. One anonymous letter sent to Ohio hinted at knowledge of the case, but investigators struggled to verify its authenticity. Social media amplified the story, drawing national attention. Photos of Dulce, smiling and carefree, were shared thousands of times, and yet the girl remained missing. Investigators meticulously reconstructed Dulce's final movements. They spoke with her younger brother, who was too young to provide detailed information but whose account was heart-wrenching. He remembered playing with Dulce, then suddenly she wasn't there. He remembered a man he didn't recognize. He remembered confusion, fear, and silence. By the end of the first week, the case had grown into a full-scale multi-agency investigation. State police and federal authorities consulted on patterns, reviewing every angle from potential abductions to opportunistic crimes. Yet, no suspect had been confirmed, and the evidence remained sparse. The community remained on edge. Local news covered rallies, vigils, and search parties, while parents held their children a little tighter. Every playground became a place of suspicion. Every stranger a potential threat. But even as the search continued, investigators realized something terrifying. Dulce's disappearance wasn't just random. Someone had carefully taken her. Someone had watched. And despite the flurry of activity, the trail had gone cold. In that first week, the horrifying truth began to sink in. This was not a simple case of a lost child. This was a planned abduction, one that would test the limits of law enforcement, the endurance of a grieving family, and the patience of a community desperate for answers. Days turned into weeks, and the investigation into Dulce Maria Alavez's disappearance grew increasingly complex. The police worked tirelessly, following every lead, but with each passing day, the trail seemed to vanish like smoke. Detectives revisited the Bridgeton City Park, combing every inch for overlooked clues. They interviewed families who had been at the park that afternoon. Some recalled seeing strangers, others noticed unusual vehicles. Yet no single account provided the breakthrough authorities desperately needed. Every tip led to dead ends, every sighting required verification. Meanwhile, Noma Alavez Perez and her family lived in a constant state of fear and uncertainty. Every phone call, every knock at the door sparked panic. She combed through social media posts, hoping someone had captured a detail that could help. Vigilante searches and volunteer groups organized daily patrols, holding out hope that Dulce might be found unharmed. One lead came in the form of an anonymous letter sent to Ohio, claiming knowledge of Dulce's whereabouts. It contained vague instructions and cryptic statements but no actionable information. Investigators traced the envelope, interviewed possible witnesses, and reviewed phone records, yet the sender was never identified. The letter only added to the mystery, deepening the frustration of a community desperate for answers. National media attention intensified the case. News outlets ran repeated segments, showing Dulce's photos and recounting the circumstances of her disappearance. Social media campaigns spread far beyond Bridgeton, urging anyone with information to come forward. Yet, despite the public scrutiny and hundreds of tips, no arrests were made, and the mystery only seemed to grow. Investigators also focused on behavioral patterns, analyzing the possibility that Dulce's disappearance was not random. Experts suggested that the abductor could have been watching the family for some time, waiting for an opportunity. The idea that a child could be taken in just 20 minutes in a busy park raised chilling questions about premeditation and planning. The local police remained cautious with the details released to the public. They feared that leaks might compromise the investigation, yet they also needed public cooperation. Families in Bridgeton held vigil after vigil, holding candles, photos, and posters, refusing to let Dulce be forgotten. By the end of the first month, investigators had created a detailed timeline of the day she vanished, cross-referencing witness statements, traffic cameras, and phone records. Still, no clear suspect emerged. The case became a nightmare of unanswered questions. Who took Dulce? How did they evade the park's crowded surroundings? Were there accomplices? Was the abductor local, or had they come from outside Bridgeton? Each question deepened the anguish of Dulce's family and the community. Parents in the area were no longer casual about letting children play outside. Every stranger became a person of suspicion. Every vehicle parked near a park was scrutinized. Fear had become a permanent companion. Despite the frustration, law enforcement continued to pursue every lead, running DNA analyses, checking missing person databases, and coordinating with federal authorities. The case demanded attention, yet the lack of closure made it one of the most baffling missing child investigations in New Jersey history. Through it all, one haunting truth remained: Dulce's story was not over. Every day, investigators, family members, and volunteers hoped for a break, a clue, a sighting, or a confession. But for now, the trail remained cold, and the young girl who disappeared in 20 minutes remained missing, leaving a void that no one could fill. Months passed and then years. The initial urgency of Dulce Maria Alavez's disappearance slowly faded from national headlines, but for her family, the pain never did. Every day without answers deepened the sense of helplessness. Bridgeton City Park, once a place of childhood laughter, had become a constant reminder of her absence. Noma Alavez Perez refused to surrender to despair. She organized search parties, collaborated with missing children's organizations, and appeared in interviews to keep Dulce's story alive. Social media campaigns were launched, keeping her face and name circulating nationally. Every tip, no matter how small or seemingly irrelevant, was followed. Every call, every message became a potential thread to unravel the mystery. But the trail was cold. Witness accounts conflicted. People remembered seeing different strangers, different cars, different details. Nothing could be confirmed. Even the anonymous letters sent to Ohio, cryptic and tantalizing, offered no concrete clues. Law enforcement analyzed them carefully, but the handwriting, wording, and postal origin provided no real leads. The letters remained another unanswered riddle in a case already full of questions. The family's anguish mirrored that of the community. Parents became hypervigilant, no longer trusting parks, playgrounds, or public spaces. Children were watched closely, and strangers were treated with suspicion. The disappearance of a 5-year-old had reshaped the city's sense of safety, leaving a shadow over ordinary routines and carefree days. Behavioral analysts weighed in. The abduction, they suggested, was likely planned with precision. Someone had watched Dulce and calculated exactly when and where to strike. The terrifying thought that a child could be taken in 20 minutes, in broad daylight, without leaving evidence, haunted investigators and residents alike. Law enforcement continued to pursue every possible lead. Cold case units re-examined evidence with advancing technology. DNA samples were retested. Security footage from the area was revisited. Investigators coordinated with federal agencies to cross-reference data from other missing children's cases. Despite these efforts, answers remained elusive, and the case stayed officially unsolved. Through it all, Noma's determination never wavered. She became the public voice of Dulce, reminding everyone that a child's disappearance is never truly forgotten. Her tireless advocacy inspired other families, demonstrating that persistence is critical in the fight for answers. Every year, every new tip offered a glimmer of hope, even if it was small, even if it was fleeting. For the community, the impact endured. Neighborhoods changed. Daily routines were altered. Parents remained vigilant. Parks were approached with caution. Dulce's absence left a permanent imprint on Bridgeton, a reminder that tragedy can strike unexpectedly, and safety is never guaranteed. Yet even amid frustration and heartbreak, a quiet determination persisted. Law enforcement continued to investigate, families continued to search, and community members refused to forget. Each unanswered question, who took her, how they escaped, and whether they would ever be caught, was a knot of suspense, keeping Dulce's story alive in hearts and minds across the nation. The passage of time had not erased the hope of finding her. It had only made the search more urgent, more personal, more essential. Dulce Maria Alavez was still out there, and those who loved her would not stop looking. The trail was cold. The answers were missing. But the search continued. Even after 5 years, Dulce Maria Alavez's disappearance remains one of New Jersey's most haunting unsolved cases. The months and years brought frustration, grief, and fear, but also resilience, vigilance, and determination. For her mother, Noma Alavez Perez, every day is a mission. She continues to work tirelessly with local authorities, missing children organizations, and volunteers across the country. Each new tip is carefully examined, each potential lead followed, no matter how small it seems. Noma has learned to sift through false hope, rumors, and dead ends, but she never stops believing that Dulce is still out there, somewhere, waiting to be found. Investigators have not given up either. Cold case units revisit the evidence periodically, reanalyzing DNA samples, re-examining witness statements, and following up on tips from across the nation. Technology has advanced, offering new tools that were unavailable in 2019, from enhanced video analysis to sophisticated database cross-referencing. Each breakthrough has the potential to reveal the truth, but as of now, the case remains unresolved. The community of Bridgeton has also adapted. Parents are more cautious, children are watched closely, and parks are approached with a careful vigilance that never existed before. Yet amidst the fear and loss, there is a shared resolve. Dulce's story is not forgotten. Awareness campaigns, social media posts, and organized searches keep her name alive. Her disappearance has become a symbol, a reminder that one child missing is one too many, and that vigilance and community can make a difference. Behavioral experts continue to theorize. Some suggest the abductor may have been someone local, someone who knew the routines of the park and the family. Others suspect that the letters sent to Ohio were an attempt to mislead, to taunt, or to confess anonymously. Whatever the truth, the layers of complexity in this case highlight how careful, calculated, and deliberate child abductions can be. Yet hope persists. Each year new tips emerge. Anonymous calls, unverified sightings, and previously overlooked details sometimes provide moments of optimism. Investigators analyze each with precision, knowing that even the smallest clue could unlock the entire mystery. For Noma and the volunteers, these small sparks are enough to keep the search alive. Dulce Maria Alavez's case is a story of loss, but also of unyielding hope. It is a reminder that a missing child is never truly gone in the hearts of those who love them. While the trail may be cold and the answers still out of reach, the determination to find her continues, steadily, patiently, and relentlessly. Her disappearance has changed a family, a community, and a nation's perception of safety. It is a story that demands attention, compassion, and action. And while the years have passed, the fight for justice has not ended. Direct hit seat. Now it's your turn. What would you do if you were in the investigator's shoes? How would you approach a case like Dulce's? Comment below with your thoughts, share this video to keep awareness alive, and hit that subscribe button, because cases like this rely on vigilance, visibility, and people who refuse to forget. The story isn't over. The search continues. And every voice counts in the fight to bring Dulce home.